MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my buddy here, Cole Shelton, to recap UFC 241 and talk about the latest news in the world of mixed martial arts. There will be no double podcast tomorrow. I'll be back in the morning breaking down the news, and recap. Actually, I'll be previewing the Contender Series, but Cole will not be joining me because there's no UFC to cover this week. We actually have an off week of UFC. There's a Bellator card this weekend, but no UFC. That means no breakdown shows. So I wanted to get Cole on today to talk about UFC 241. Before I talk to Cole for a sec, guys, as always, follow me on Twitter right there at Adam Martin, right at the bottom of the screen. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com, on our YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends about it. Also check me out at bjpenn.com, MMARings.net. Cole, you guys can find him at Cole Shelton 91 right there at the bottom of the screen. He's a bunch of websites, BJ Penn, Sherdog, a couple other places. Let's jump right into it, Cole, because I want to talk about this card, man. Great card. I think we all expect it to be good. My pick sucked. I got slaughtered. I know you didn't do too well either. It was one of those nights. A lot of upsets. I think there was like 5 or 6, including one of the biggest ones of the year, which we'll talk about in a second. But we got to start with the main event. We're going to work our way down from there. So, main event of the evening, Stipe Miocic reclaims the UFC Heavyweight Championship via 4th round TKO over Daniel Cormier. Miocic was a plus 125 underdog, so he won as a dog. Wow. I mean, crazy fight. DC looked great. He was winning the first 3 rounds, in my opinion, and then started gassing. It was weird. Like, I've never seen him get tired in a fight before. And then those body shots, Cole, they really started taking their toll. And Stipe just made a good adjustment and then started attacking DC to the head, and I was over right after that. So just thoughts on how the fight played out, and we'll talk about Stipe in a second in DC, but just thoughts on the fight itself.
Yeah, it was. Well, just first off, if there's a trilogy fight, just pick whoever I pick against. First fight, I pick Stipe. Second fight, I pick DC. So just, I don't know that, but it was so weird. So like, after the first round, I'm like, DC has this. Like, he's really using his wrestling. He's looking good. Second round, and then there's the third round. He's just started to use his hands. I'm like, this is when he's gonna get caught. Like, you can't just go punch for punch with Stipe, because Stipe, I think, hits harder. And then you saw what happened. Stipe's corner made a really good adjustment there. Like, his hands are high, like, just hit him in the body. And we've seen John Jones give Cormier trouble in the past when he hits him in the body. And that's exactly what Stipe did. And it was really good finish, really good adjustment from Stipe, who was arguably down 3 rounds at that point and needed a finish.
Yeah, he did. He was down 3 rounds to none, so he needed to finish the fight. He did it. It was a good adjustment, like I mentioned. The body shots just really started taking their toll on DC and got finished. So we'll start with Stipe here. I think we both picked DC in this fight, and we both picked Stipe in the first one. So we don't know how these fights are going to play out if they do a trilogy, like you mentioned. What's next for Stipe, though? Do you think a rematch with Ngannou makes sense, or do you think they're going to do a trilogy fight with DC? What do you think about the rematch with Ngannou first?
Well, see, I think it's a fight that a lot of fans want to see, but I'm not sure if the UFC really wants it, because you saw what happened in the first fight. Ngannou was dominated. Like, it was not close. I think Stipe won, 4 rounds or maybe all 5?
Yeah, pretty sure he did, yeah.
So, yeah, it was just dominating performance. And the thing is with Ngannou, we still have never seen his wrestling tested. Like, sure, he's gone out and beat Blades, Velasquez, and JDS all by knockout, but, again, no one's handled the punch or been able to take him down like Stipe did. Like, Stipe took Ngannou's hardest punches, kept going forward, and just dragged him down, really dominated that fight. So it's a fight I think a lot of people would want to see. But again, it really depends if Cormier wants that trilogy. Because I think if Cormier calls Dana White and says, I want that trilogy, that's going to happen before the Ngannou rematch.
Yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. And let's shift gears, talk about Cormier quickly. I think he's going to fight again. I want to get your thoughts on that, but I just don't see him going out after this loss. I just don't think he wants to be that kind of guy that goes out with a loss. He seems like a very proud guy, very respected guy, and he respects himself so much that he wouldn't want to do that. So even though he did say that this could be the last fight, he never said it was for sure going to be the last fight, Cole. I feel like he has one more left in him. Would you rather see a trilogy fight? Because I think there's the only 2 options. Would you rather see a trilogy fight against Stipe or John Jones?
I'd rather see the Miocic trilogy, because I think that's a fight he can win. I don't think he'd beat Jones. I don't think anyone would really favor him against Jones. And Jones, the other thing, would happen at 205, and I don't want to see Cormier cut that weight, because did you see he weighed 11 pounds more on fight night? Which is so weird, because you don't ever see heavyweights cutting weights. I don't know why he would cut 11 pounds just to add it back at heavyweight when you just walk on the scale like that. But I don't know. I think the Miocic rematch or the trilogy is much more interesting, given it is 1-1, where at least Jones is 2-0 Jones, and it's probably going to be 3-0 Jones at that point if they fight again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, honestly, I'm okay with either fight. I just want to say this. I feel bad for DC because, man, do you remember? People forget this now, Cole. Do you remember last summer after he knocked out Stipe? What happened? Do you remember what happened? Brock Lesnar walked in the ring and said, "I want to fight you," and they were going to set up this huge fight. He was going to retire after the Brock fight. Never got that payday. He fought Derek Lewis, made some good money, saved the UFC's asses for that card in New York, and then he gets KO'd by Stipe. And my good buddy Aaron Bronster made a good point. He just said, like, why did DC take this fight? Like, this was such a high risk, low reward matchup, and I kind of agree with him. Like, it's kind of strange. Like, I know he was like, "Oh, I owe Stipe the rematch." Why? Like, why? He should have, I think, been pushing for that Jones fight a little bit more, in my opinion, because honestly, you could lose to either guy, but there was more risk fighting Stipe because now it's like, okay, you lost Stipe. Stipe is not a draw. At least Jones is like a draw, and he would have made more money. So, I mean, we'll see how the pay per view does. I know the gate did well, but I just feel like he kind of he could have screwed himself a little bit of some money. Anyways, you know what? Great fight, but let's move on to the rest of the card here. Co-main event, another fight that we did not get right. Nate Diaz comes back and absolutely dominates Anthony Pettis. Won a 3-round decision very, very easily. I mean, he pretty much won the whole fight. Maybe the first round Pettis looked okay, but after that, it was smooth sailing for Nate. Looked great on the feet, looked great in the ground. Surprised Pettis did not get finished in the third round. I thought he was going to get stopped by those knees against the cage. But man, I mean, after a 3-year layoff, how impressed were you with Nate Diaz?
Yeah, I did not think Nate Diaz would look that good, and I thought it was a fight. I think we both said on the podcast could go either way, just because how their styles are. Like Diaz doesn't do good against leg kicks, Pettis doesn't do good against the pressure. So it's really who implemented their game plan better, and Diaz really just took over that fight from the get go. What was kind of surprising is he started to fade. Like he looked tired, which is interesting because you've never seen Diaz look tired in a fight. So I don't know if that was the 3 years off had something to do with it, and it wasn't really fight camp or fight shape he was in before, but that was a really impressive performance. I did not expect that from Diaz at all.
He looked great. It's funny because him and his brother always complain, "Oh, guys, take me down, take us down." He took down Pettis and pretty much held him there in the ground for a little while too. So, hey, you know what? He's getting smarter. I think he looked great in this fight, man. I am curious to see who he fights next, and that's what I want to talk about. Cole, he called out Jorge Masvidal. Do you think that fight happens, or do you think they booked the Conor McGregor trilogy?
I think it has to be Masvidal. That fight, they both want it. You saw Masvidal in the crowd. Like, he looked so happy. He looked like a kid at a candy store. He's like, oh my goodness, I am getting this payday. Like, because Masvidal now, like, he said title shot or payday. That Leon Edwards fight made 0 sense for Masvidal. I agreed he should not have taken that fight. Like, it made absolutely no sense. It's like the Cormier Miocic match. It's such a high risk. It has no reward. Like, you beat Leon Edwards. A lot of, just casual fans don't really know who he is. So, this Diaz Masvidal, put it on any pay-per-view, and it's guaranteed the biggest fight on the pay-per-view card.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an amazing fight. I mean, I honestly wasn't even thinking about this fight, and I'm glad that Diaz made the call out. And like you said, Masvidal, just the reaction he had in the crowd, great reaction, and looks like he wants the fight too. So we'll see what happens. I still think the Leon Edwards fight's a great fight. There's a lot of heat there, but this is the fight I think that the fans want to see. So we'll see what happens. Next fight, man. Okay, amazing fight here, first off. And another fight we got wrong, but Paulo Costa picks up by far the biggest win of his career, winning a unanimous decision over Yoel Romero, one of the best fights of the year. First off, how did you score the fight?
I had it 29-28 Costa. I had the first 2 for Costa and the third for Romero.
Yeah, that's how I had it too. I think that's the correct scorecard, but I guess I could see an argument for Romero. Personally, I thought Costa did win the first 2 rounds and Romero won the third. It was an amazing fight. I just think Romero had a really weird game plan, man. It was weird, right? Like, he kept backing himself against the fence, kept sticking his tongue out. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, man, does this guy not realize he's losing the fight right now? Like, yeah, the third round. You had the third round, Romero came strong, and Costa showed a good chin in that third round, man. He took some big shots, but Romero couldn't get the job done. It's just, I don't know. Like, I think Romero could have won this fight, but I feel like he just didn't do enough to win the fight. So I thought Costa looked great in this fight, man. At least the first 2 rounds. 28 years old, Cole, 13-0. Title shot next, or who do you think's next for him, man?
I think it's the winner of Whittaker Adesanya. Dana White said they're flying him down to sit front row and watch that fight. He won't be a backup fighter, Dana White said. They said it's too much of a quick turnaround to cut the weight again and recover and everything. But it's good that Dana White said they're going to fly him down for it. That just basically means he's probably next in line.
Yeah, I think he should be. Jack Hermanson, though, he looked amazing against Shocker Ray. He's going to be fighting Jared Cannonier, who knocked out Anderson with that. Well, it was a TKO injury. But either way, the winner of that fight, I think, is in the mix too. But there's no doubt the UFC loves Paulo Costa. I mean, he's got the look, he's got the fighting style. The guy's fantastic, Cole. I really enjoy watching this guy fight. He's turned out to be a better fighter than I thought. I thought he'd be an okay fighter, but he's turned out to be pretty incredible. And the thing about him is he actually had a cup of coffee in the UFC back in 2014 on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil, and he didn't do well. He lost to Marcio Alexander Jr., Lyoto Jr. by split decision, got cut. He went back to Jungle Fights, which, by the way, I think is going to be airing on DAZN, which was pretty cool. Jungle Fights is a great promotion in Brazil. I think you did the article on that, actually. But since he's come back from Jungle Fights to the UFC, 5-0 now, 4 knockouts, and now he beats Romero. He beat Uriah in his last fight. I think this guy's legit, man. I honestly wasn't buying him completely. I thought he was kind of just one of those guys that can knock you out in the first round, but he proved to me he can go 3 rounds. I will say this, though. I don't know if he can go 5 because he was getting tired at the end of 3. So in a 5-round fight, like if you fought a guy like Jack Hermanson for 5 rounds, I think Jack would probably win the fight if he didn't get KO'd early because I think the cardio advantage would help him. But either way, man, great performance. An amazing fight. I mean, honestly, what an entertaining fight. Next up, Sadiq Youssef defeats Gabriel Benitez via knockout in the first round. Oh, by the way, I should mention Costa was a plus 145 dog and Diaz was plus 100. So those 3 underdogs won, as well as a couple other underdogs on the undercard, which we'll talk about in a second. But this fight, so did Youssef. I mean, everyone thought he was going to win. He wins by first round knockout. Great performance by Youssef, but I don't think anything we didn't expect to see from him, right?
Yeah, that was really. I thought he was going to knock him out. I thought it was going to be in like the second, but it was kind of, he got dropped early, which is kind of surprising, but just there was such a big like size. It was just the size of their like legs were so different. Like, and Youssef, like, I mean, the UFC, I think they have a real star coming on him. I think they're really trying to push him. They put him on this big pay-per-view card for a reason, and he really delivered that first round knockout.
Yeah, he looked great, and I agree. The UFC does like this guy, obviously. Dana White keeps talking about him when he talks about Contender Series. He's like, oh, this guy did 3 million views or whatever. He keeps talking about that. Like, I think he's got to work on his mic skills a little bit. He seems like he definitely wants to talk, but he's got to work on that part. But as far as his fighting game goes, guy's great, man. He's awesome. So we'll see what happens. But at 145, I would definitely think he's on the bubble of the top 15 at this point. I don't know if he's there just yet because I don't think he has that win that's catapulted him into the top 15, Cole. But the next fight, he has to fight a ranked opponent, no doubt about it. Next up, another upset. Ian Heinisch loses a decision to Derek Brunson, who looked pretty good in this fight. Wins 29-28 on the cards. Brunson was a plus 140 dog. Another fight that we got wrong. And I'll tell you, Cole, I was surprised how this fight played out because Ian Heinisch actually got tired in this fight, and I was surprised because his cardio is in his biggest weapon in his fights, and he got gassed out in this fight against Brunson, who usually is the guy who gasses out. So I guess this was not the way you saw it playing out either, was it?
Yeah, this is exactly went the exact opposite of how I thought it was going to happen. I thought Heinisch would be the one putting on the pace, using his wrestling, and getting Brunson tired. And it was more me picking Heinisch was kind of fading Brunson because Brunson has not looked good as of late. Like, he got that win over Theodoro, but I mean, not much happened in that fight. And then before that, he's been knocked out a ton, and he just hasn't been fighting smart. And I thought he'd just continue doing that, but he fought a really smart game plan. He really just kept the pressure on and gassed Heinisch, which was surprising.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? Good for Derek Brunson, though, man. This guy's actually put together quite a solid career in the UFC. I'm going to count his record up here. 2, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's 11-5 record in the UFC, man. That's pretty solid. So good for Derek Brunson. But yeah, I think this was a showcase for Ian Heinisch. I think the UFC wanted him to win, and he didn't get the job done. So it happens, but I think they wanted to win. All right, let's talk about the prelims now. Biggest upset of the night. I mean, geez. We talked about this, Cole. We said, don't put this Smith guy in your parlays at minus 1,000. Don't do it. And he gets knocked out in the first round by Conor Worthy, who wins by first round TKO in his UFC debut on 4 days' notice. He was a plus 650 underdog. The prop on him winning by knockout was plus 1,100. The prop on him winning in the first round was plus 2,000, Cole. Plus 2,000. No one saw this coming. I mean, wow. What did you think of this guy's performance?
Well, I was watching it, so I'm like, my brother and one of my brother's friends were watching it with me, and I was like, when the punch landed, I'm like, I swear Smith landed the harder shot. Like, I'm like, I don't really. I know. I'm like, I don't get where Worthy hit him, and then the replay, I'm still like, I don't get how that knocks you out. Like, he's been hit harder. It was just kind of like a light little jab, and it
got on the right spot.
Yeah, but I mean, we called it. Like, anytime someone's like, there's just no value in that minus 1,000. Like, if anyone bet him, it made no sense. Really, all the value was on Worthy. But like, 4 days notice. I thought like when my brother's friend just like catch me, he's like, "Oh, who do you have here?" I'm like, "Oh, Devontae Smith's gonna knock this guy out in the first round." Like all he does is knock everyone out in the first round, and this guy's been Worthy's been knocked out a ton, and he's like, "Oh, nice pick," and I'm like, "Well, man, he's a -1,000. Like no one expected this."
Yeah, yeah. They'll say I was watching with my girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh, this other guy's gonna win." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "He looks meaner." I was like, "No, no, no. Smith's gonna win." And she's like, "No, no, the other guy's gonna win because he looks meaner." And of course, Worthy knocked him out. And I was like, "Okay, you're right. I'm wrong as always." But man, I'm surprised by that. I think it's one of the biggest upsets of the year in the UFC. Plus 650 is a big upset. So it's just another example. Don't put -1,000 favorites to your parlay. Like there's too much risk, like not enough reward. Anyone can get knocked out or lose by injury or get submitted in the sport. And it's just not worth making a few extra bucks and to destroy like a 5 or 6 team parlay, which I think a lot of people were doing. They were parlaying about all the favorites. Like a lot of people probably had like Yusuf and like, Close and Cyphers together, and then they put Smith in to make a few extra bucks, and he got knocked out. So don't do that. It's not worth it. Next up, you know what? And honestly, Cole, like I'm a little surprised how dominant this guy was. Corey Sandhagen wins a very lopsided decision over Rafael Sunsao. I thought Sunsao had a good chance to win this fight, man. And at plus 220, I had to take a shot on him. Did not look good in this fight at all. Sandhagen looked amazing, man. Incredible performance by this guy. Title shot next, or do you think one more fight? Like he's got to be close to it, right? At this point.
Yeah, bantamweight's the top of it is so good now. You have like Sterling, Jan, and Sandhagen. Any one of them can get a title shot.
Yep.
And when I saw Faber Cejudo sitting beside each other, I'm like, no way they're gonna announce this right now, aren't they? But luckily they didn't, because Cejudo said all week his fight's gonna be announced on Saturday. And then Dana White's like, nah, that's crazy. But I mean, I don't actually really know what you do, because Dana White's been saying Cejudo has to defend against Benavidez at flyweight. So then if he does that, bantamweight, who's going to be the odd man out? You have Sterling, Jan, and Sandhagen for an interim title shot. Which one is not going to get it?
Well, I saw that report that Ariel had that Frankie Edgar would fight Aljamain Sterling. So don't know if that fight's official, obviously, but if that fight happens, you could do Jan versus Sandhagen. That would be a great fight. I'd be down for both those fights. I mean, personally, I don't really think Frankie deserves a top 3 guy at this point. Why does he deserve a top 3 guy? Like these other guys are busting their asses at 135. Listen, Frankie's great, but work your way up, man. I know he's a legend and everything, but Cole, it's like, how would Frankie fights Faber again at 135? Like, I'd rather see that, if anything. I just feel like Sterling should probably get that shot, but if not, fight Yan, and if not, Sandhagen's right there. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I could see why the UFC wants Faber or Edgar to fight Cejudo, because their name and stuff, but these fights against Sandhagen, Yan, Sterling, those are better fights and more compelling to me. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that there's a good chance Cejudo does fight at 125 against Benavidez as well, because it seems like Dana wants that division to keep going. And hey, if he doesn't want to defend, then he's got to vacate it and let someone else fight for it. I think that's pretty fair, because it looks like that division is going to stick around a little while longer. Next up, this was a great fight too. Drakkar Klose wins a unanimous decision over Christos Giagos. Klose -190 favorite. I think we all expected Klose to win. It was a pretty close fight up until the end, and then he just kind of took over. That slam, by the way, oh my God, what a slam. Looked like a pro wrestling, like a fireman's carry or whatever. Looked like WWE or something, man. That was crazy. This guy Klose is pretty good, Cole. His record in the UFC now is 5-1. He's got to be banging on the door of the top 15 at this point, right?
Oh, I think so. I think he needs a top 15 guy. Give him I actually really like the Gillespie call out. Like where has Gillespie been? This guy fights in January, dominates, and then he just kind of goes MIA. Like he doesn't do any interviews. So Gillespie kind of hurts his own stock. He could be like a huge star. Like he'd be a guy already in the top 15 making waves. And he could be a guy that really could a stylistic matchup for Khabib, given they're both wrestlers. That would be interesting. But he just doesn't fight, and he doesn't do anything to promote himself. So I don't know, but I think Klose could be one fight away from rankings. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like a 15th or 14th ranked guy next.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I like that fight with Gillespie, but yeah, I mean, I thought Gillespie would be, a top contender at this point. But like you say, he doesn't fight, and he's always like fishing and stuff. He never does interviews. It's like you're hurting yourself, like you mentioned. So, but either way, man, what a great fight though with Giagos. And for Giagos, obviously loses his decision here, but you know what, Cole? He's really improved his stock, man. I think he's looked pretty good in his last couple of fights. Next up, catchweight bout, 140 pounds. Casey Kenny defeats Manny Bermudez by unanimous decision. How did you score the fight, Cole? And what did you think about the fight being at catchweight?
How did I think I had it 30-27 Kenny, but I had 29-28 Kenny is what I had. But there was 2 rounds in there. I think it was the first and second, right? That were kind of like swing. I could have saw either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was 29-28 Kenny, but I don't know. It was the catchweight bout. It was because of Bermudez. He weighed like 160 something pounds on fight night. And basically, I think it was Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard basically came out and said, yeah, he's fighting at 145 next fight.
Yeah.
Which is good but I did not expect. I thought Bermudez could go and submit Kenny because I wasn't really impressed with Kenny's last fight. I thought Borg won it. I thought Bermudez was the better prospect, but Kenny really showcased all his skills. He really out grappled the submission specialist, which was really impressive.
Yeah, it was a close fight. I think it could have gone either way, but Kenny gets the job done. Now he's 2-0 in the UFC. Another prospect at 135, Cole. Another guy we got to start talking about, because I thought Bermudez was really that lead prospect, but clearly Kenny's got a little bit of step up on him because he won this fight. Next up, women's strawweight bout between Hannah Cifers, Jodie Escobar. Cifers wins unanimous decision. I mean, why does Jodie Escobar? Does Keith Jardine have pictures of Dana White? Is that why she keeps getting fights?
She should not be in the UFC. She's 0-4. Most contracts are on 4 fights. Hopefully that's it for her. She hasn't showed anything. Yeah. She's been given like some names and then slowly gone down to like the bottom of the division. And Cifers is kind of near the bottom, and it's like, if you can't beat her. But I don't even get this match figure. Cifers is coming off a win. Why are you giving Escobar a person coming off a win? Give her like the person Cifers lost to, or someone coming off a loss. But I think this has to be it for Escobar in the UFC.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And 0-4 now in the UFC. She has not won since 2017 in a split decision. If she lost that fight, it would have been a 6-fight losing streak. Again, she's her husband is Keith Jardine. Dana White loves Keith Jardine. Keith Jardine also starred in Bird Box, which my girlfriend saw, and she was like, I've seen that guy before. I was like, he was in Bird Box, which was a pretty good movie. And also he was in Breaking Bad too. So Keith Jardine's killing it, man. I mean, he's had a good movie and TV career, but I think this is it for his wife in the UFC. Although it wasn't this cool. I looked at the salaries. She made $10,000. She was the lowest paid fighter in the card, obviously for good reason, because she was probably the worst fighter in the card, but you can see why the UFC kept her around as cheap fodder to fill the prelims up. Next up, Kyung Kang defeats Brandon Davis. Split decision. Really close fight here. I did think Kang won 2-1, but definitely a close fight. Brandon Davis made it competitive. He was throwing a lot of elbows off his back in the third round. I think that's why one of the judges gave it to him. But I thought Kang won. What did you think of the fight, and who did you think won?
Yeah, I thought Kang won 2-1, and I don't know. It's just, I think Davis kind of his third round game plan kind of cost him the fight. He had a chance to win, but it was a really good fight, really competitive. I'm still not sure about Davis at bantamweight because he said he runs 20 miles a day. If you're running 20 miles a day to cut weight, how are you even fitting in like training? Because you have to be so sore after running 20 miles a day. Like at that point, is it even worth it? Just fight at featherweight and just add weight onto yourself.
Yeah, and he's only 2-4 now in the UFC. So I mean, at this point, I think he will get another fight because honestly, he's put up some pretty good fights. But I think one more fight, and if he loses that, he's going to get cut. He just hasn't really got the job done in the UFC. Last fight, the first fight of the card, Sabina Mazo wins an absolutely lopsided decision over Shayna Dobson. And again, I'm just shocked how many people were. I mean, listen, I can't talk because I got terrible picks on this card, but I saw so many people putting money on Shayna Dobson. I was just like, why? Like, Mazo is a really good prospect and dominant fight here, Cole, 30-24. I mean, that was pretty dominant. You think Dobson gets cut?
I think she does. I don't get why Dobson opened up as the favorite.
Yeah, it's
like she was 3-2 and hasn't fought in like a year and a half.
Strange. Yeah, look in her last fight, but definitely strange. Overall, rank the card out of 10. I'd probably give it like an 8. What would you say?
Yeah, and that like 8.5 range is a really good card. The main card was really good.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's fair. All right, let's talk about a few other things here. Did you see Kyoji Horiguchi get knocked out in RIZIN yesterday? I was absolutely shocked. There were no odds for this fight, by the way, if anyone's wondering. No odds, but Kai Asugawa knocks out Kyoji Horiguchi in 68 seconds in the first round. It would have been a massive upset if there were odds, but either way, it's massive upset in my mind. Did you see the knockout, Cole?
Yeah, that was crazy. I literally woke up and I'm like, well, stupidest thing, why was the belt not on the line? They're both bantamweights, both made bantamweight belt from the beginning. It was just a non-title bout, which is so dumb.
Yeah.
Because now they're just going to have to run it back for the belt, and then it delays when Bellator is going to get Horiguchi.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, that's strange, but I'll be honest. I didn't even know this fight was happening. I saw it like yesterday. Someone posted the GIF of it. I was like, oh, Kyoji Horiguchi got knocked out. Wait, Kyoji Horiguchi got knocked out. So I was surprised by that. The Conor McGregor thing. We keep hearing about more details from this. I have the story at bshitman.com. It's a funny story. Allegedly, the guy who got punched said that he didn't want to drink this shit to Conor McGregor, and Conor didn't take kindly to those words and punched him in the face. And now, allegedly, he's going to be charged with assault. We'll see what happens there. I feel like he's going to get a slap on the wrist again, but I'll tell you this, Cole. I think a lot of people in Ireland are really upset with this guy right now because what he did was just straight up wrong. And there was a video yesterday of a bar owner, actually in Florida, but an Irish bar owner, and I'm sure you saw the video. They're pouring down all the bottles of Proper Towels down the toilet, which I thought was hilarious. And they were like, "Look at that scumbag, Conor McGregor." It's like, this is where it belongs. It's funny, man. But do you think Conor's going to escape punishment from Dana White? That's the most important question here.
Nothing's going to happen to him. Nothing happened to him with the bus accident. Nothing happened to him with any other things, the phone incident, any other stuff that Conor McGregor gets in trouble with. He might get in trouble with the law, but he won't get in trouble with Dana White.
Yeah, and there were in that article, someone said that when he drinks, he gets hyper, and there's been rumblings, and I don't want to say this is like true or anything, that he's used some illicit drugs as well, that he's into that kind of stuff. I really have no idea. Listen, Conor's a great fighter, man. There's clearly some stuff going on outside the cage. People are like, "Oh, this is what happens when you get money." Is it? I don't know. I don't see this happening to all of the fighters. Like Daniel Cormier doesn't do this kind of stuff. So to me, it's like it's kind of weird. Like and Jones is another guy. We got to talk about him quickly. The video came out of the woman who accused John Jones of assaulting her or a battery charge or whatever. Talking to the police. Did you see the video, Cole?
Yeah, I did. I watched it this morning.
She said in the video he gets away with everything. Do you think anything's going to come out of that?
I don't know. It doesn't look good though, but like, it's still.
Sorry, I should mention I'm not talking about crime proceedings and the judges and stuff because we honestly don't have much knowledge about that. But as far as like Dana White and UFC goes, do you think anything's going to happen to John Jones and Conor? No, right?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
if it was an unranked fighter on the prelims, like just someone making like 15 and 15, they'd probably be cut.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but Desmond Green like literally killed people when he was high and drunk, and he's still on the roster, isn't he?
So I think he has to be cut by now after getting sentenced.
I think he's still on the roster, and they never released a statement about that thing, which was crazy. I mean, he literally killed people when he was driving drunk and high. So,
and I know what kind of company doesn't release a statement saying basically all your statement has to be is we are no longer working with this guy. We terminated his contract.
I know it's. And
we don't condone his actions. We've terminated his contract, and that's really all you have to write, like a 2-sentence thing.
100%, Cole. I mean, it's basic PR, and I think that is the difference between the UFC and some of the other bigger sports. But at the same time, people made the point that like Dante Stallworth in the NFL, like 10 years ago, he ran someone over. That was a little different circumstances, but he still was allowed to play football. So yes, other sports, this kind of stuff does happen. But there's the problem I have with the UFC is with their code of conduct. It's so inconsistent. And, Aaron Bronster, I don't know if you saw the interview. He asked Dana, can I get a copy of it? And he's like, oh, it's online or something. Like, he didn't even want to talk about it. It's just a few years ago, they were bragging about how they have this code of conduct. And I think, remember, Matt Mitchell made a homophobic comment. He got suspended and fined, I think. And since then, it's like they never bring it up anymore. But it was, I don't know. Anyways, we could talk about this for the whole show, but it's just funny how, different fighters get different treatments. And I mean, I guess we can't be surprised, Cole, when the stars are getting different treatments. All right, let's talk about a couple fight announcements here. UFC 245, main event of the evening. Amanda Nunes against Germaine Randamie 2. I mean, do you give JDR any chance in this rematch? They fought 6 years ago, and she lost by first round stoppage to Nunes when she was making her UFC debut. Do you think this is going to be a closer fight the second time around, or do you think Nunes wins again?
I think Nunes knocks her out again. I think it goes later, probably third or fourth round, but I think Nunes wins by knockout.
Yeah, me too. And I'm okay with the fight, though. I mean, honestly, GDR does deserve a title shot, but I'm a little surprised they're giving her a title shot because we remember what happened the last time she lost the title. Although we saw Dana White's interview with Lauren Sanko, and he's like, oh, Cyborg took steroids and GR didn't want to fight her and stuff. And it's like he changed his tune about that pretty quick.
Well,
Go ahead.
I got in this like debate in the Shirt Dog Slack chat. Someone was saying they were all saying like Caitlin Vieira deserves it more than GDR, and I'm like,
she's kind of forgotten about. She's ranked.
And here's what I was saying: Caitlin Vieira hasn't fought since March of 2018 or something like that, and she has 4 wins in the UFC, and 2 of them are cut, and none of them are ranked opponents, other than Sarah McMahon, who's ranked like 11th.
Yeah, she's 10-0 now. She hasn't fought in a year and a half against Kat Zingano.
And a split.
I think she's retired or she's hurt or something. She hasn't fought in forever either. Kelly Fashwells, who's no longer in the UFC, and Ashley Evans Smith, who I think is still on the roster, but she's not that good.
Yeah, none of her wins are impressive.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, the Zingano win at the time was good, but how is she ranked? What is she ranked? Is she ranked 2?
She's ranked like 2, which I don't get. My debate was I don't think she should be ranked in the top 5.
Oh, like that's kind of weird. Even yeah. Okay, well, to be honest, the division's kind of terrible, but she should probably be ranked above, or Holly Holm should be ranked above her. Anyways, a couple other fight announcements here. UFC Copenhagen, Siyar Bahadurzada against Ismail Naurdiev. Initial thoughts on that fight?
I think this could just be a loser gets cut. I know they're both coming off just 1 loss, but both didn't look good in those losses. Naurdiev got dominated, chance red counter, and
yeah.
I mean, Millender really dominated his other fight, but I'd favor Naurdiev early, but it's a fight that, I don't know, I'd have to see the odds because I think they could be way off again.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, for Siyar, I agree. Naurdiev's young though, man. He's like 22 or 23. I think he'll get another shot. Like he looked great against Brazil.
Yeah, like Sahari, I think will be cut if he loses.
Yeah, Sahari, I'm surprised he's managed to hang on this long in the UFC, Cole, because he's always hurt. Like this guy never fights. Let me check his record over. Like I remember when he made his debut against Paul Tiago, knocked him out. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's got 7 fights in 7 years in the UFC. He fights once a year, so he never fights. One other fight announcement here: UFC 242, Zubaira Tukhugov against Lerone Murphy. Thoughts on that fight? I don't really know too much from Murphy. I'm going to check him up right now, but Tukhugov obviously is really good, and he's coming off that the incident at UFC 229. Any thoughts on that fight?
Oh, I just don't like how long he hasn't fought. Like he hasn't fought since UFC 198.
Jeez.
When he lost a split to Renato Moicano.
That's a long.
I mean, but how many fights are on 242? I think this was the 14th fight they just added.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Like there must be a fight dropping off unless they want to do 14 fights because that's a lot of fights.
And did you see it's on FX, the prelims?
I saw that. Someone mentioned that to me. So I don't know 100% about the FX deal, but I do know that Dana said that the Ultimate Fighter was something he wanted to show on FX. So it looks like they have some sort of
what I know of, like what I was told basically, like from just people like in the Slack chat or whatever that know a lot more than me, is basically ESPN acquired everything of Fox but sports and news. So like FX and everything. Like
interesting. Okay, well, I mean, hey, they used to play UFC on FX all the time back in 2012, I think, 2013.
Which is kind of weird. Like, why can't ESPN Plus just stream it? Like, you have this streaming platform. Like,
hey, that is, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, as Canadians, we don't even get ESPN Plus. So to me, it's definitely a question worth asking, Cole. But I think all of this stuff's on Fight Pass and TSN first, anyways. But yeah, as far as that fight goes, like you said, Tukhugov, hasn't fought in 3 years. That's a long time. But Nate Diaz looked great after 3 years. Lerone Murphy started fighting in 2016, and since then, undefeated 8-0. Just fought 2 months ago, won by knockout. So we'll see what happens in this fight. But you got to favor Tukhugov, I think, even based on the layoff, just because Murphy's really fought. If you look at his resume, he hasn't fought anyone with notes. Any other news you want to talk about? Anything we missed? Anything that's grinding your gears?
No, I think that's all we got.
All right, cool. Cole, plug your stuff and I'll plug mine. We'll get out of here.
Twitter at ColeShell91. Just follow it. All my stuff's on there. Just everything I do. I do quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB, just the bottom screen there. MMAOddsbreaker.com. Check our YouTube channel out. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Appreciate that, guys. Thanks for the support. Check me out at bjpen.com. MMARings.net. Guys, have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow previewing Dana White's Contender Series. Thanks, Cole, for joining me today. There will be no second podcast tomorrow, guys. Just one podcast. I'll be back in the morning. Guys, have a good day. Talk to you soon.